Well, howdy, and welcome to our session on discovering the art of the possible, utilizing AI with IBM and Red Hat. My name is Trent Whitfeld. I'm the East Chief of Engineering for Technologent, and we have a great session lined up for you all today. So joining me on the virtual stage are Ernesto Larios, Technologent's AI Ambassador and Principal Architect, Michael Herlick, Technologent's Chief of AI Strategy, and Mr. Matthew Miller, Senior Principal Chief Architect with Red Hat. And as a reminder, as we progress through the presentation and conversation, please utilize the chat or the Q&A section. We'll be watching that closely. Now, before we hear from these fine gents and highlight the amazing partnership between Technologent, IBM, and Red Hat, let's introduce Technologent. So at Technologent, we bridge the gap between people and technology. We empower businesses to achieve transformative outcomes. We focus on innovation, collaboration, and have an expertise that allows us to deliver tailored solutions that drive agility, efficiency, and productivity for enterprises worldwide. So with an engineer to sales ratio of 3-to-1, we definitely have the technical expertise to navigate you through your digital transformation journey. We're headquartered in Irvine, California, but we have offices and resources across the country, including Las Vegas, Denver, Nashville, and New York. And to meet the needs of many of our customers, we also have a global presence to ensure that white glove approach stretching around the world. This includes innovation centers, logistics centers, and data centers. Now, of all the technical and non-technical certifications we have, one of the items that I'm most proud of is our WBNC status. We take pride in being women-owned, and it allows us to do some truly amazing things with some awesome accounts. From a technical strategic aspect, we focus primarily in 4 main disciplines. Within data discipline, we focus on getting the most value out of your data through information strategy sessions, compliance and privacy workshops, data protection assessments, and incorporating analytics and observability into your environment. Within the cloud discipline, we focus on the physical, software, and cloud-related assets that provide the services, structure, and storage of your applications, data, and databases. Now, be it private, public, hybrid, multi-cloud, or traditional 3-tier infrastructure. Within our security discipline, we focus on protecting your organization from the core to the edge, with solutions spanning secure operations, network and infrastructure protection, data access, identity management, endpoint security, and unified endpoint stuff. The people, technology, and processes are all analyzed and optimized within this discipline. And of course, artificial intelligence. Now, within this discipline, we focus on utilizing AI-driven automation intelligence to enhance operations with AI-powered automation and LLM capabilities, enabling proactive decision-making, workflow optimization, and adaptive scalability. Now, crossing each of those disciplines we just introduced are the various practices that work hand in hand with our clients and strategic partners to bring inspiration and innovation to every environment. So here we see just some of the many examples of the capabilities within each practice. With our proven methodology, best-of-breed tools, and extensive product certifications, we help you and your IT organization architect, integrate, and maintain a secure, high-performing business. Our technical experts that represent each of these practices are here to make the uncomfortable journey of transition and change comfortable for you. So put it simply, we're here to help you and your business achieve your goals. For today's session, we'll be focusing on the generative AI practice with our key partnership with IBM and Red Hat. So it's my pleasure to introduce 2 of the smartest guys I know, and definitely some of the most passionate when it comes to the generative AI subject, Mr. Ernesto Larios and Michael Herlick. Guys, thanks for being here today.
Hey, thanks, Trent, and thanks to everybody for joining us today. I'm Ernesto Larios, and I'm going to be presenting with Michael Herlick. Before we dive deeper into the webinar, I thought it would be important to ask a question. And Michael, I'm going to ask you this. Why are we here? Why is this webinar and sessions like this, why are these so important? What is the question? The answer to that question. Why are we here, Michael?
Oh, that's pretty easy. So everybody is talking about AI, but not a lot of people are talking about what AI can do for you specifically. So we're gonna talk about how the market has bifurcated from AI you have to build yourself and you have to figure out your own use cases, to specific AI tooling and product that you can buy to quickly enable your business to do very specific things.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. In today's marketplace, Michael, you and I talk about this all the time, and I hope that we can kind of share a little bit of that with our audience today. There's a lot of choices. There's a lot of tools. There's a lot of technology. There's so much hype. And deploying AI, some people think that it's just like a software, right? I'll just plug in a software, but it's more complicated. When we roll up our sleeves and we really try and achieve those business outcomes, we realize that there is definitely some assembly required, right?
Exactly. And people shouldn't think of AI as software. People shouldn't think of AI as something that's nebulous and general purpose. We've evolved in the last year from watching ChatGPT be a end all and be all for all things AI to very specific things that you can enable in your business to help you do work, produce things, and make life generally easier in IT.
Yeah, and I like where you're going with this, and I think the next slide is going to kind of cover a little bit more about this, the impact. This technology, this organizational uh, transformation that comes, in lockstep with Gen AI and what we're seeing in our customer base. It ultimately is about people, and I think Michael, here at Technologent, we have a really people-centric approach to how we think about implementing generative AI as a more holistic transformation. And if we go to the next slide, Trent, we can talk a little bit more about some of these personas that we run into at our customers. And these aren't all the personas. And in fact, we have some of these personas internally at Technologent. And Mike, I know we've run into a few. Question, have you run into kind of these personas when you're out there in the field, Michael, working with customers?
I do. I have AI conversations from very 30,000-foot view to very specific, and we run into these four categories of people. You have folks that are dipping their toe in the water. You have people who are experts. We have people who have a lot of fear. If you look at the AI market, the AI adoption at the consumer level is through the roof. You probably have billions of users using general purpose AI agents. But at the enterprise level, you have a big disconnect between where leadership wants AI to be enabled in their business to the folks actually doing the work and keeping the ship afloat. They're afraid of what AI is going to do. How do you govern it? How do you secure it? How is it going to impact and what's going to change?
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. When out with customers, it's not just the different personalities and that disconnect, that we're seeing, Michael, between the categories that you established there, but it's also each individual person at one of our customers has a different sort of experience with AI, and each customer themselves have a different sort of experience on where their generative AI fluency, might be currently sitting at. And that makes every kind of conversation a bit unique, but there are some commonalities about it. And if we go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about that personal journey. And I know we're talking a lot about people today, but that's intentional. This technology is here to help us. And we like to categorize sort of that personal journey with generative AI into our wow moment, our ow moment, our how moment, and our now moment. And I'd encourage all of the folks who are on the webinar today, if you had a wow moment, let Trent know in chat. If you've had an ow moment, go ahead and share it. We'll talk through those ow moments. If you have questions about the how, or if you are eager to get to that now moment, let us know through chat so we can be interactive throughout the rest of the presentation. But before we move past this slide, I got a question. Michael, do you remember your first generative AI wow moment?
I do, and it's kind of funny remembering it. About 3 years ago, when Technologent established its AI practice, was around the same time that ChatGPT hit the market. Now, sitting there at a jujitsu class with my children, watching them do the kids class, and somebody sent me a link and said, "Hey, try this out. Look what you can do with it." And I found myself not paying attention to my kids, but instead of having ChatGPT explain to me how LLMs work as if Arnold Schwarzenegger was talking to me. And it was both educational and very entertaining.
That's a good story. Jiu-jitsu, huh? Man. Jiu-jitsu and AI. I wouldn't have started there. I'll tell you, like, I don't know about you or the folks on the call, but my owl moment came really fast after my wow moment. So I code a lot, right? I write a lot of software, I write a lot of code. And so when I first got exposed to ChatGPT, I straight away tried to get it to help me code. because you always want to be coding and producing faster. What I ran into, though, was that it was so unreliable. The code was, at the time, was just terrible. And worse off, it was so convincing, the generative AI was so convincing in that it was giving me the correct answer while it was totally hallucinating and feeding me misinformation. And so I spent more time solo with ChatGPT at that time fixing what it generated as opposed to using it. And I think that kind of ties into our how moment, right, Michael? Like, how can we take this technology and put guardrails around it, put governance around it, help that organizational transformation, and accelerate the time to benefit? And I think we're going to talk about it on the next slide, how Technologent has structured our approach to helping our customers get through these phases. Michael, we talked about this organizational change earlier. And one of the things that you mentioned to me the other day was about like this ROI. And sometimes it's hard to get started and you need that first step. And this is why we created this offering for our customers to be able to have these generative AI demo kits, to have these hybrid cloud or fully on-prem solutions, or fully on cloud solutions that they can just have a look at to see what that art of the possible might be. If they're exploring use cases, they don't know where to get started, these generative AI demo kits are a fantastic starting point. And this goes across industry, and it also is vertically specialized in industry. Across those demo kits, Michael, you've talked about like 3 common areas, right, that tend to really provide kind of immediate benefit, right? What are those? There's code generation.
There's code generation, there's knowledge management, and then there's the agency aspect of it, where you have agents that will help you with specific tasks. We'll dive really deep into those, but going back on what Ernesto was saying, how do you measure ROI, and where do you get started? In all the conversations that we've had, every customer that we have is either writing software, or they have lots of data that they want to be able to talk to, or they have a need to be able to enable their people to do things faster. So coding assistants are very easy to get ROI out of, because you look at Code Assist from the perspective of PCW, percentage code written, unit testing, whether or not the software or the automation will work, and code quality. You can see software developers do in 1 week what would take them almost 2 months. From a knowledge management perspective, everybody has data. And the data is everywhere. It can be in data platforms like Snowflake or Databricks. It can be in Splunk. It can be in Slack. It can be in your OneDrive. But people want to be able to talk to it without having to move it around. And the customer service aspect, where you have, most people have banking apps on their phones. Most of the banks have chatbots. Imagine that chatbot sticking with you through a live phone call and a live interaction with your customer service agents. That's the world that we're living in now, and everybody is adopting AI in those 3 categories specifically, because that's the AI you buy. It's easier to buy that stuff than to build it from scratch. But if you need something very specific, then we're going to be talking about the platform to help you either tune that stuff or build it to your exact needs.
Yeah, oh, I love that ending, that your exact needs. And I think that conversation between, we're going to get into a little bit more about how build used to be build versus buy, and now it's build and buy. These demo kits we're talking about showcase that build and buy, where you can buy the platform, like Watson X, and then you can build quickly because of all the batteries included that it comes with. Those demo kits are fantastic, but some of our customers want to take it home, to try it out for a little bit longer. And that's where our 1 week no risk POC comes in. And again, this is all about lowering the bar of entry to being successful with generative AI. Once we've shown off some of the demo kits, we then work with our customers a little bit deeper to develop a POC for them that they can take home and try out for a week without risk. And what's super cool about that is that marketplace intelligence. We talk about speed, Michael, all the time. And some of these pre-built integrations that Watson X comes with, from a platform perspective, that's the buy option, that you can then configure and customize to your own needs very, very quickly is the build side of it. And that out of the box integration really accelerates things for our customers. Now, some of the folks on the call today might be thinking, hey, that's great, but I need an internal champion at my place of work in order for this to be successful. And I wouldn't disagree with you. One of the coolest things that we do is actually internal enablement for our customers, whether it's strategic AI and pancakes with your executive leadership team, a lunch and learn with your engineering team or your business owners, or even like a cool team building activity followed up by a dinner. We really enjoy having these personal interactions with our customers to help that enablement and increase the AI fluency. And last on this flywheel, but I think quite possibly the most important part is this co-architected customer journey, where we work side by side, collaborating with you and our partner network to ensure you're getting the right fit, hitting back on that ROI, and increasing your time or decreasing your time to value so that you get that ROI faster. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Trent, if you don't mind, and we'll talk about that acceleration, where we have relief, belief, and breakthrough. And one of the kind of cool things that we are pretty proud of being able to deliver with our customers is a like really quick time to value, really quick impact. And Michael, we've talked about these empty frameworks that sometimes we hear customers complaining about. Do you want to talk a little bit about those and how we're a bit different?
Sure. I will give you a typical example and then something a little bit entertaining. So the typical example is you bring in a large-scale consultancy to come talk to you about, hey, how can we get AI in our business to make it better? They'll spend a couple of weeks doing interviews, and then they'll provide you a 100-page document telling you how AI helps customers in your space do business faster. But they don't tell you how to get started, right? They tell you that AI can help you increase sales by doing trending and analysis. They'll tell you that AI can help with automation, but they don't tell you very specific ways to do it. It's kind of like going to your doctor and saying you don't sleep very well. And your doctor looks at your file, looks at your blood work and says, hey, you need to exercise more and you need to change your diet. And then you ask your doctor, well, how do I do that? And your doctor just looks right back at you and says, figure it out.
Yeah, that's not super helpful, is it?
Not really.
Not really at all. And that's where we came up with our flexible, go-to-market consulting strategy. If we go to the next slide, we can dive into what that looks like. Earlier we talked about, we used this phrase at the beginning of the session today about some assembly required. And I think, Michael, I probably should have said a lot of assembly can be required. And not having a blueprint or a roadmap that has been proven to be successful can be a little bit scary, kind of like walking around in the dark. So on the left-hand side of this screen, we have our flexible batteries included consulting methodology. Here's the goal: to make it fast, to make it safe, to make it responsible, and to ensure that our customers are getting real value, real tangible value out of every single step. So if we look at our 2-week accelerated AI program, what is the purpose of this? This is for customers who are a little bit on the early side of their AI journey, have been talking about it, or maybe have tried and failed. We come in and we make sure that your team is working together, understanding how to select your use cases, how to work with your ROI, how to build your internal calculators, and critically, selecting the most appropriate use case to be successful for your pilot implementation. Now, I'm going to pause there for a second, because we used to have a phrase, and Michael, you've heard this before. We used to have a phrase in the industry called fail fast. And it got very, very popular in the late 90s and in the 2000s. But we don't think about it. We want to succeed quickly when it comes to generative AI, to prove that value right away. And that's a really cool program where we come in and work shoulder to shoulder with the customer, make sure that there's full enablement. If we look at the 6-week Enable and Scale program, this is about operational implementation. So this is growing your base foundation solidly, ensuring that you have trust, risk, and security management governance frameworks in place, and giving you a production-ready sandbox environment. So you can take that next step safely, again, succeeding quickly and consistently. Our 12-week production launch is what it says. It's putting the whole ML ops and LLM ops process together, the pipeline together, understanding where you're going to have observability, how you're going to measure your internal systems and success, and making sure that security and governance are embedded throughout. In addition to this, one of the cool things that we do internally is we have applied AI innovation labs. So we build, research, and develop internally with our engineering teams to make sure that we make the mistakes so that you don't have to. And, Michael, up to this point, we've talked a lot about, why we're here, our people first approach, how Technologent it looks at implementing generative AI and what our typical blueprint would look like. But I think some of the folks on the call might be wondering, okay, well, that's great, right? But how exactly is generative AI, going to help us? And Trent, if we go through the next slide here, we'll talk a little bit about the relationship with IBM, the supercharging power that this relationship gives us, and some of the areas that we can help in generative AI can help our customers. On the next slide, Trent, we've got some categories. Michael, there's a lot out here, but can you help us understand a little bit more about the impact that we could expect in the different kind of use case categories for our customers?
Absolutely. There are many components of IBM's platform offerings that help you enable specific use cases, but they fall into very specific categories. Digital labor when it comes to agents, AI agents you don't have to feed, you don't have to give them vacation time. IT automation, everybody needs to, nobody likes doing things repetitively by hand every time. Security, people like to glean information out of their data. They like to be able to correlate and understand what happened from different data sources. And application modernization, and we'll get into this when I talk about code development in detail, specific to IBM for a lot of Z customers who are looking to transition from COBOL to Java. That tribal knowledge is slowly disappearing out of the industry as people retire out, and new developers that are familiar with the current languages and Java, they don't have a familiarity with COBOL, so they struggle in knowing and understanding what the code does.
And we've seen it firsthand, that wow moment, going back to the wow ow, we've seen it firsthand, that wow moment where we bring this platform in and integrate that code base and see it in real time transforming code. It's an amazing moment. It really is. And Michael, across these 5 different kind of vertical categories, do the 3 horizontals still apply? Like, the code, all the ones that we talked about, coding, they kind of touch on all of them, right? They can kind of go cross.
They absolutely do. Code and scripting and configuration management is key to any organization. Knowledge management and search is important because people don't delete anything. They need it. That's how they monetize their business. They need agents to do things for them because one of the bigger problems is folks getting started, or they need to be able to get an idea off the ground. And the easiest way to do that is to explain to an agent what you want, and then you get a concept off the ground right in front of you that you can show to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. That speed's incredible. But without trust, like, it's really hard for even us internally at Technologent. We have to trust what we're doing. And Trent, if we go to the next slide, we'll dive a little bit deeper onto trust, earning the trust. I can't think of a better way to earn trust than to actually use internally the same product that you're providing to your consumers to have amazing results. This flywheel here, Michael, is pretty impressive about how IBM themselves became client zero. And you have a couple of facts that aren't on this slide, right? So they've done some pretty incredible stuff.
Absolutely. I read recently of a case study where, and the IBM folks in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong in any of the facts, but they implemented a agent called Ask HR in their own HR department. And if you can think about IBM's HR department, they have hundreds of thousands of employees globally. So you could imagine that the HR bot or the HR department with people would be very busy all the time. Since implementing the Ask HR agent, The AI agent itself handles more than 90% of all HR related activity for IBM.
Wow.
It's a very powerful use case for a ultra enterprise company with hundreds of thousands of employees.
That is incredible. And I'm sure that it's based off of some solid foundations. And Trent, if we go to the next slide, we can look at some of the four foundational strategic pillars that help drive this. And Michael, I have a question for you. I think a lot of the folks who are on our webinar today have probably had like statistical overload. We see a lot of slides with percentages and numbers, but I know you're really, really deep in the field and doing a lot of research on the real impact that businesses get with generative AI. Are these numbers real? I mean, can our customers expect to actually see similar type of results?
Absolutely. Just to mention the three areas of high impact AI opportunities. For code, you're looking at easily 80% gains in time and code quality. Those are very measurable. There's lots of case studies. When you look at an AI agent that can siphon through a couple 100,000 or 1 million lines of code and explain to you what it's doing, explain to you some mistakes and optimizations in real time, that saves developers hours. When it comes to search and knowledge management and putting information together, that saves you tons of hours. From a code development, though, time equals money. From a knowledge and search, it's hard to ROI that, but the gains can be seen. And then from a AI agent perspective, when it comes to customer service, for example, you have big banks like Citibank, Wells Fargo. They're using AI platforms for customer service, and they have seen a direct result in increased net promoter scores, increased or decreased call handling times, and just increased general customer sentiment that they were able to quickly resolve their issue without having to even talk to a person.
Wow, those are really good real world use cases that customers outside have really seen this impact. And as you were talking, I was thinking to myself about like at a really macro level on how generative AI can help organizations. And a couple of words came to mind, like we can use generative AI to augment the human day-to-day tasks. We can use it to accelerate our automation. And some of the use cases that you mentioned show like full agency, where we can actually hand off certain pieces of our day-to-day work directly to AI agents. And we can control just how much automation or help we want, moving from augmentation to automation to a full-blown agency. We're still very much in control. And I think that's a great thing. And on the bottom of this slide is probably the most important part, right? Governance and principles of trustworthy AI. Is as we automate more, we have to be more careful. I use this analogy sometimes, Michael, about there's a reason why bicycles don't have seatbelts, but sports cars do. Right? The faster we go, the more important safety comes into play. So from IBM's perspective, Trent, if we go to the next slide, we could drill in a little bit more on like what's underneath all of this. Because I think, Michael, a lot of people don't understand that watsonx isn't just like one thing.
No, watsonx is a platform of capabilities, and it's divided into multiple components. For example, watsonx AI, data, governance, assistant, orchestrate, and code. The foundation of Watson is around watsonx.ai. This is where you do your try your model, play with it. This is where you build and train, fine tune. You do prompt engineering. You do supervised training. You have model evaluation tools. So think about building your own agent, whether it's going to be a customer service agent, or you want to try it out, or you're going to build your own RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, where you have it go through all your data because it's on the inside of the wire, and then you can glean meaningful information out of it by finding the right files and getting the data out of them. watsonx.data is IBM's open lakehouse. This is where you would use common tools that would clean the data, get it ready for machine learning, fully supports engines like Presto and Apache Spark. watsonx.governance, this is probably the most important thing for the enterprise, because This is where it's going to tell you whether you're using the right models, whether you're adhering to standards, whether you're adhering to international or United States law. It'll even go down to the state level, if I'm not mistaken. The code assist is probably one of my favorites, as you guys can tell.
Yeah.
We have a lot of developers on our team, and Ernesto is one of them. I will just put it like this. I've already mentioned code assist and what it does. It can explain code. It can refactor code going from, like, on the Z series from COBOL to Java. And what's important about it is that it can document what code is doing. So imagine you have some developers and the new developers are coming in. Those new developers will have to go through code line by line or find somebody who wrote it to get an explanation. Let's save that time and let's just ask a little bot saying, hey, what do these 2,000 lines of code do? What are they doing when they're trying to talk to this database?
Oh, that one right there. I have done that so many times. You know, when I frequently help customers modernize their code bases. And by being able to ask that question, what could have taken 3 months, we can get done in a week. I love that use case. That hits really close to home.
And I'll give a very public example of tangible savings when it comes to time and ROI. We have a customer, they're in the Fortune 1, and on a recent earnings call, their CEO, and this is the largest company in the world, if not the largest, said on their public earnings call, since we've implemented a AI-based code assistant, and then this is 6 months. In the last 6 months, we've saved over 4 million developer hours. So if you think about 4 million hours of development time, that's time to market, that's better code quality, that's doing things faster and more efficiently.
Yeah, I totally believe that. That's incredible.
Last two things, Watson has a conversational AI assistant, very good at being able to talk to people and interact multimodally. And then Watson X or Watson Discovery, where it's an engine that can crawl all the data on the inside of your wire, make sense of it, index it, and then allow you to, using the agents in the other part of the platform, to be able to interface with your data. You can talk to your databases, you can talk to your repositories, and you can even connect it to non-IBM data sources.
I love those integrations that come out of box. It really helps meet the customer where they're at and not require them to change the existing investments that they've made in their enterprise. And you know, if I understand correctly, Michael, you've helped us take a broad sort of look at that platform. Trent, if we go to the next slide, we can kind of flip that around a little bit, like make it like a pivot table and look at it like vertically, from AI assistants to SDKs and APIs, to that core middle layer around AI and data platform, to some of these data services, and at the foundation of this, Red Hat OpenShift. And you know, Michael, I think at a customer, what we've seen is that customers can pick like which vertical area is going like to focus in on, that's going to really drive their business outcomes.
Right. Most customers will have a specific use case, but there will be lots of customers who will say, hey, I need to play with something. I want to try this out. I need a sandbox where I can play with the models and see which one is the best for us. But I don't want to use this on the internet publicly. We have to protect our data. We want to see how it works front end and back end. So the best part about IBM's approach to this space with Watson specifically is there are things that can solve problems today. There are pre-built integrations, there's bots, there's code assist, there's search, and then there's the WatsonX.ai platform where you have your dashboards and all your automation pre-built such that you can download the trusted models like Granite, like Llama 2 from Hugging Face, and then test them out and see how they actually work.
Yeah, and I want to interject here because it's something that I had another wow moment. I think I told you about this one, but so when you're buying a platform per se for AI, and not just generative AI, by the way, it can also handle machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, expert systems, more traditional types of AI. But frequently what will happen is you invest in a platform and it starts falling behind the cutting edge. And each and every time I go meet with our partners over at IBM, I am so impressed by the fact that they are not behind the cutting edge. They are continuously keeping Watson X on par with open source capabilities. And that is a huge feat. If you think about open source community has like the whole world of developers innovating and creating code. But IBM is so dedicated to make sure that this is a trusted, governed platform. And like for a geek like me, it's so important to be able to have the latest orchestration for my agents, the latest short-term and long-term memory, validation, type classifications, all of these things that make coding and developing our AI assisted application so much better. To have that cutting edge technology in a safe and secure platform, especially leaning on AI and data, that centerpiece is so important to somebody like me and to our customers. Michael, on top of all, or rather, underneath all of this, we have to have some place to run Watson X. Some of our customers have, concerns about getting locked into a cloud provider or not being able to move into a data center. Is that an issue with Watson X?
It's not. You can run it in the cloud or you can run it on-prem. And the best part about this, the whole experience is unlike the open source community, as much as we love them because we use a lot of their tooling, you can always, if you have a problem, you can always pick up the phone, call IBM 7 by 24 by 365, and you will have enterprise support with all of this.
Yeah, and I think that extends to the underneath layer there, and I think we're gonna talk about Red Hat a little bit more. But Red Hat is underneath all of this and giving us a lot of that flexibility and that enterprise grade capability.
Yeah, we have some pretty phenomenal Red Hat stuff coming on next. So I warned you guys that Ernesto and Michael are both passionate and really smart. So thank you guys for jumping in today. But let's continue the fun. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Matthew Miller, Senior Principal Chief Architect with Red Hat. Matthew, thanks for joining, man.
Yeah, thank you, Trent. I really enjoyed the opportunity. For those who don't know Red Hat, we go through and provide open source technology that's heavily community driven with enterprise grade support. Today, I'm going to be talking about what we term as Red Hat AI, which is our comprehensive portfolio of both products and services designed to accelerate the development and deployment of enterprise AI models across the hybrid multi-cloud. And really, it's almost like the composable composite disaggregated infrastructure that creates cloud. And we're doing that different than other people who provide hybrid cloud approaches because we aimed in a multi-hybrid cloud to provide infrastructure consistency. So you can go through and train to one area and understand you have a trusted control plane that can go across your cloud and your private data centers. In our product portfolio, we have 4 primary tenets of things that we want to be able to provide to our customers. We want to go through and take their existing investments and be able to help them do full fine-tuning with their own private data and utilize small language models to really get the best of their data so that they can do things when they do their RAG or tags. They can go through and have a lot less hallucinations. We want to be able to help them deploy. As much as cloud has created a landscape of compute that's equal pretty much across the board, GPUs are not equal. They're very region specific. They're sometimes exotic in specific regions. What we do is provide you the capability that once you get a hold of these GPUs, either in the cloud or in the data center, you get the most out of it, and you can deploy both the GPUs that you need or deploy the models that you need and provide them to all the products and projects that you're currently working on. We help you with the management of the lifecycle across both predictive and generative AI completely at scale, and we really are focused on helping you drive that larger ROI. Next slide, Trent. So I like to go through and keep these slides very, very short. So I usually walk it backwards from our history, which starts with our Red Hat OpenShift AI, which is our platform for both predictive and generative AI designed specifically for ML ops. It sits underneath platforms like Watson X AI, and it provides a Kubernetes layer to be able to go through and create a complete ecosystem that a customer can do everything from creating data science pipelines to going through and doing things as model as a service to doing distributed training and to be able to tie it into their developer workflows. It includes, I'd like to say, our Red Hat Enterprise Linux AI. This is something that was a recent offering that we showcased last year. It's designed specifically for the journey. It's a single server platform designed to go through and help customers do full fine tuning. And in our 2.0 release, we showcased at our summit, we'll actually be going through and providing the mechanics of agentic and RAG capabilities on it. But it's really to go through and get the most out of your models. And we provide the Granite family of models out of the box from Red Hat, and we're providing IP identification around that, and we're providing the Instruct Lab tooling, which is one of the hottest capabilities within the open source community to be able to go through and do that full fine tuning. And our Red Hat Enterprise Linux AI and our OpenShift AI include something that we're heavily proud of, which is our Red Hat AI Inference Server, which comes from our Neural Magic acquisition. This is a packaged version of VLLM. It's a memory optimized way to go through and provide LLM inferencing. You know, when we say that Red Hat participates within open source communities, we have a stable of HPC engineers and key core contributors to the VLLM project that actually go through and do that, and they provide LLM compressing utilities, plus the mechanics of a tuned optimized VLLM with quantized models that have been pre-tuned for you. These are popular models that you may know today, along with what you see from a Granite perspective. Our goal is to be able to go through in our AI inference server for those people who have large AI environments and want that to be able to take the most advantage of their hardware and want to reduce the cost. It's that perfect fit for those who are just starting their journey. Our Red Hat Enterprise Linux AI goes through and does that. And then those who are looking to scale and create that private cloud. And I will tell you, the biggest conversation I have with enterprises today is, while most models are trained with trillions of parameters on everything that's out in the internet, the majority of your own personal data isn't there from your company. And most companies aren't willing to go through and bring those to the cloud and have complete teams that are sitting there constantly looking at the mechanics of, is the privacy piece with me today, and could I potentially violate things like the EU Data Act? So going through and keeping the control of your data and maintaining AI sovereignty is kind of what Red Hat's focus area is. So this is kind of being able to go through and get that large scale based performance. And then as you transition components into the cloud, same consistently though. So let's talk about how it works. You know, just I like to say, like we always like to showcase eating our own dog food. Internally, Red Hat has saved about $5 million, and within 10 months, I think it's 1.5 million that we saved. Let's kind of jump to the next slide to go through and bring on more mechanics of use cases. We have healthcare customers that have taken claim times and they've reduced it from hours to minutes. We've had customers that have gone through and completely extended their DevOps pipelines. But I like to say everything's within solutions. So we've got a multitude of solutions to talk through. We can not do that within the 10-minute piece, but what we can showcase within here is, if you're already doing something like RAG today and you're at that 99.9% accuracy part, what we can do is we can introduce things like full fine tuning, which go through and utilize an SLM that you can feed all of your data into, and you can train it with data that's not constantly changing. Because what we end up seeing is customers take these large sets of data and they're constantly feeding it into the model, and it's data that's not changing. So why not tune the model with that data and provide context around it? So they can go through, it's already there, they're sending less tokens at the model, which is reducing cost, and it's providing a lot more accuracy. So it's actually increasing speed, reducing cost. And so what can an SLM do? One of the things on the next slide, and Red Hat supports both third-party models, and we provide the Granite family of models, but we showcase within here that the Granite family of models under testing has showcased in itself higher levels of accuracy, and then you include your own data to be able to go through and get that full fine tune. So you're reducing cost and you're going through and getting the responses that you specifically work. And if you go through and like take a look at this in an implementation perspective, most of the time, this is where the majority of data scientists specifically start. So from like starting with RAG and then like being able to go through and take it one step further, just utilizing hardware that you have. Trent, you want to jump to the next solution? So the next most popular one I would say is GPU as a service. As I said a little bit earlier, one of the things is not all clouds are built the same and not all regions have GPUs. And one of the things we're seeing a lot is repatriation of workloads. And when you have these expensive GPUs in your ecosystem, you want to be able to ensure that they're always moving. So we provide capabilities to go through and provide to your projects GPU as a service with the capability to spin down to zero so that each project gets what they specifically need to be able to go through and keep that GPU specifically moving at all times. We provide mechanics of providing things like secure GPU multi-tenancy. So you're actually able to do that. This is one of the mechanics of having everything under your control, because like when you're going through and you have those particular parts, you can go through and take advantage of additional tuning capabilities, like being able to utilize like distributed KV caching. Trent, we're going to jump to the next slide. So we provide consolidated interfaces, the capability to optimize workloads, gain visibility, control over the GPUs that you have. And then you can take to the next part of the puzzle and do things like, which would be another solution pattern, offering parts like model as a service, where, for those who don't have not actually done this, if you've used a cloud-based model today, you know that you end up paying by the token. Token's like 2/3 of a word. It gets really expensive when you throw the dictionary at it. Going through and having it privately within your data center means that you actually have cost control because you already have the assets all in hand. So Trent, I think my delivery. What this is, the delivery is the GPU as a service. One of the parts that we're actually just introduced to our OpenShift 4.19, I just got this a few minutes ago, is we're bringing Q actually down one step further. This is the capability to actually go through and deliver batch-based job processing, to not only provide the capability to do those distributed HPC style workloads on top of OpenShift AI, but we are bringing it to the OpenShift ecosystem. And another thing that just came a few minutes before the call here is our OpenShift AI service. We just released tech preview for our edge-based deployments for small form factors. So we already have an edge deployment today, but if you're talking the micro edge, we actually go through and provide OpenShift AI for the micro edge on top of our Microshift platform.
Awesome. And I know we have some next steps that you guys are marketing, which is awesome. So I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, so a few parts that I like to go through and tell everybody to go through and get started with. If you have a use case that you would like to bring with us, start at the bottom, like with the proof of concept design specifically for you. We're happy to go through and start. Our partners at Technologent can actually drive helping you get that particular set of P2Cs. If you're looking to go through and get a trial of our software, we have 60-day self-supported versions. You can just click those QR codes. If you just want to see what it looks like inside of the chat, I recommend everybody go to redhat.com. It's basically an arcade style experience that brings you into the console, but like walks you through what it looks like so that you can see everything from full fine tuning to setting up data science pipelines to the mechanics of being able to deliver models at scale. So thank you so much, Trent.
Oh, that's awesome, Matthew. I warned you guys that these are pretty smart guys we have today. So Matthew, thank you for joining us. And so if you kind of look at a whole view that take a step back and look at from an entire solution aspect for AI and IT teams seeking for that flexible and comprehensive solution that reduces complexity of incorporating AI into their business, that combo of Red Hat OpenShift with IBM Watsonx and our expertise lumping it all together, we definitely have that suite of technologies that can accelerate the generative AI adoption and simplify the process of managing all the AI life cycles. If we look at it basically as a puzzle, you know, you have puzzles, the bigger the pieces, the easier it is to put together, right? That's where Technologent comes in. We take not only just the large pieces, but also the small pieces. So we're here to help with both the large and small, and we're really here to make your goals, your AI goals, possible. So I know Ernesto and Michael and Matthew have been monitoring the chat and the questions in the back. So I'll lean on you guys if there's any questions we haven't left unanswered. I can't see those right now. I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, I think we're looking okay, Trent.
Awesome. All right. Well, then let's talk about next steps. So the team covered a ton today, but with a short window and really thousands of use cases that we can talk about, we only skimmed the surface. So I invite you to continue the conversation with us. Let's sit down and talk about how generative AI and technology expertise can help take your organization to the next level. Let's discuss what a demo and a POC looks like in your environment based on your specific business needs or goals. You'll be amazed what we can accomplish in a 30-minute meeting. I've heard things that it blows your mind in just 30 minutes. So, and I'm happy to make the connection with the proper team on any topic that interests you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. My email is on the screen. And if you can't spell my last name, it is an atrocity. I have an alias that is just trent@technologent.com. So with that, I want to thank Ernesto, Michael, and Matthew for joining us today and really providing truly a great overview. And to all of our guests, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to spend a little time with us. I hope to see you all in person soon so we continue the conversation. So thank you, be safe, and God bless.